If you clicked on this video, chances are you already own a Singer, or someone in your life is telling you to buy one because that's what grandma had. And look, I get it. Singer has been in the sewing game since 1851. It's the name everybody knows. But here's the thing nobody at the fabric store is going to tell you. Knowing a name and trusting a machine are two very different things. After sitting behind a sewing table for the better part of 4 decades, trust me, I've heard every motor whine, every skip stitch, every "why is my bobbin doing that?" I can tell you the brand on the front of the machine matters a lot less than what's actually happening inside it. And in the last decade or so, what's happening inside a lot of new Singer machines is not what made the name famous in the first place. So today we're doing something a little spicy. I'm walking you through 5 sewing machine brands that, dollar for dollar, outperform Singer, and on top of that, they're actually cheaper to keep running over the years. Not just cheaper to buy, cheaper to fix, cheaper to maintain, and less likely to end up in a repair shop in the first place. Stick around, because brand number 3 on this list surprises almost everybody, and by the end you're going to know exactly which machine deserves your money instead. Why we're even having this conversation. Let's set the table first, because I don't want this to feel like I'm picking on Singer for no reason. Singer today is not the same company that built the machine your great-grandmother swore by. The Singer brand is owned by a company called SVP Worldwide, based out of Nashville, Tennessee, and that same parent company also owns Husqvarna, Viking, and Pfaff. SVP Worldwide has changed hands a few times over the years, including a private equity buyout, and that kind of ownership history tends to show up in the machines eventually, usually as pressure to cut manufacturing costs. And that's exactly what a lot of longtime sewists and repair techs have noticed. Modern Singer machines, especially in the budget and mid-range lineup, lean heavily on plastic internal gears instead of metal ones. That's not a rumor. Walk into any sewing machine repair shop in America and ask what the single most common Singer repair is, and you'll hear the same answer over and over: stripped or cracked plastic gears. It's such a common failure point that entire businesses exist just selling replacement plastic gears for Singer models by the dozens. On top of that, customer reviews for Singer's parent company have not been kind lately. Complaints about slow customer service responses, machines arriving with defects, and long waits for replacement parts show up again and again across review sites. That doesn't mean every single Singer machine is bad. Plenty of the mechanical heavy-duty models are genuinely solid workhorses. But as a brand-wide bet for your hard-earned money, Singer isn't the safe default it used to be. So let's talk about who actually deserves your money instead. What a Singer repair actually costs you. Before we get to the 5 brands, I want to paint a realistic picture of what repair-friendly versus repair nightmare actually looks like in dollars, because that's really the whole point of this video. A basic sewing machine service, cleaning, lubrication, tension check, timing adjustment, runs somewhere in the neighborhood of $60 to $100 at most American repair shops, and that part is pretty consistent no matter what brand you bring in. Where the brand's really separate is in what happens after that basic service, when a tech finds an actual broken part. On a lot of newer Singer models, that broken part is a plastic gear, most commonly the hook drive gear or the feed shaft gear. And here's the frustrating part. Those plastic gears are specifically engineered as a sacrificial part. They're designed to strip or crack under stress instead of damaging the more expensive metal components around them. That sounds smart in theory, and it does protect the motor. But in practice, it means Singer owners end up replacing that same plastic gear every few years of moderate use, and every trip to the shop means paying for another diagnostic visit and labor charge on top of a part that, by itself, might only cost $8 or $10. Multiply that by however many years you plan on owning the machine, add in the extra shipping and wait times that show up in customer complaints about SVP Worldwide's parts availability, and the cheap Singer starts costing you in trips to the shop and lost sewing time, even if the receipt total looks small each time. That's the real comparison we should be making, not sticker price, but total cost of ownership over 5 or 10 years of actual use. Keep that number in your head as we go through the next 5 brands, because in every single case, the reason I'm calling them cheaper to fix isn't just about the price of a single part. It's about how often you'll need one. Brand 1, Brother. We're starting with the brand most people cross-shop against Singer anyway, Brother. Brother is a Japanese company that's been building sewing machines since 1908, and unlike Singer, Brother still designs and engineers its machines with real consistency across the lineup. Entry-level Brother machines, things like the Brother CS7000X or the XM2701, typically run somewhere between $130 and $250, which puts them right in Singer's backyard on price. But the build quality tells a different story once you open one up. Brother has a well-earned reputation among repair technicians for using more accessible, more standardized internal parts, which means when something does break, a tech isn't hunting for a discontinued piece. They're pulling a common part off a shelf. Brother also manufactures an enormous share of its own components in-house and supplies parts to other well-known brands, including Baby Lock, which we're getting to in a minute. That kind of vertical control tends to mean better quality checks and steadier long-term parts availability, which is exactly what keeps a repair bill low. Sewing teachers and technicians consistently point out that Brother's threading systems and tension mechanisms are simpler to service than Singer's, and Brother's authorized dealer network in the U.S. is large, meaning you're rarely far from someone who can actually work on the machine instead of just selling you a new one. Where Brother pulls ahead of Singer for beginners specifically is the electronics. Brother's LCD screens, automatic needle threaders, and drop-in bobbins are engineered to fail less and be replaced cheaply when they do. Is Brother the most premium name on this list?
No.
But dollar for dollar, at the price point where most Americans actually shop, Brother beats Singer on reliability and on the wallet-friendly side of repairs. There's also a practical side benefit worth mentioning. Brother's sheer sales volume in the U.S. means used and second-hand Brother machines are everywhere, which keeps the market for spare parts, bobbin cases, and presser feet flooded and cheap. When a part is that common, a repair shop isn't marking it up because it's scarce. You're paying closer to true cost. Compare that to a Singer model that got discontinued a few years back, where finding the exact matching part sometimes means waiting on a specialty importer or scouring auction sites, and the price difference in cheap to fix becomes obvious fast. Brand 2, Janome. Next up, and this is the one serious sewists will tell you they wish they bought first. Janome. Janome is another Japanese manufacturer, founded back in 1921, and it's actually one of the largest sewing machine makers in the world. Big enough that it also owns other respected names like Elna and New Home. Janome machines start a little higher than entry-level Singers and Brothers, usually landing somewhere around $250 to $400 for a solid home machine. But here's the trade you're making. You're buying fewer future repair visits. Janome has built its reputation over decades on stainless steel internal frames and metal gear systems rather than plastic. Repair shops and sewing teachers consistently describe Janome machines as the ones that are still running strong after 15, even 20 years of regular use, often with nothing more than routine cleaning and the occasional belt or motor brush replacement, both of which are inexpensive, commonly stocked parts. That built-to-be-serviced mentality matters more than people realize. A Janome technician isn't fighting a machine that was designed to be replaced rather than repaired. Parts stay in production longer. The internal layout is straightforward for a tech to access, and because Janome has such a long production history, older models still have a healthy second-hand parts market, which keeps repair costs down even on machines that are well past their warranty. If you're the kind of sewer who wants to buy one machine and use it for the next 2 decades instead of replacing it every few years, Janome is the brand that quietly outperforms Singer at nearly every price tier it competes in. There's a reason sewing teachers in classrooms across the country default to Janome for their student machines. These are the workhorses that survive dozens of different hands, skill levels, and mistakes year after year without needing constant trips back to the shop. When a Janome technician does need to replace something, it's usually a low-cost wear item, a belt, a light bulb, a set of motor brushes, rather than a structural gear that shouldn't have failed in the first place. That's the difference between routine maintenance and an actual repair bill, and it's a distinction Singer owners don't always get to enjoy. Brand 3, Juki. Now here's the one that surprises people like I promised. Juki. Most Americans know Juki, if they know the name at all, from industrial sewing floors and garment factories. Juki is a Japanese company that's been building sewing equipment since the 1930s, and it built its reputation on machines that run for years on factory floors without quitting. That industrial DNA trickled down into their home sewing machine lineup, and it shows immediately the first time you sit down at one. Juki home machines like the TL2000 or the HCL series tend to start around $400 to $700, so you're paying a bit more upfront than a basic Singer. But what you're buying is a direct-drive motor system instead of the belt-driven setups common on cheaper machines, and direct-drive motors have dramatically fewer moving parts that can wear out or need replacing. Fewer moving parts means fewer visits to the repair shop, plain and simple. Juki machines are also known in the repair community for using metal internal components almost across the board, even on their home sewing lines, which is a big part of why Juki owners report their machines running for a decade or more with barely any maintenance beyond oiling and needle changes. And because Juki's industrial heritage means their dealer network is used to servicing heavy-use machines, the technicians who work on Juki home machines tend to know exactly what they're doing, which keeps diagnostic time and your bill shorter. If you sew thick fabrics, denim, canvas, multiple layers, anything that would make a budget Singer's motor groan, Juki is the brand built to handle it without falling apart on you 6 months later. It's also worth pointing out that Juki's home machines borrow design language directly from their industrial line, meaning the same straightforward, no-frills mechanical layout that factory technicians have serviced for decades. There's no mystery circuit board buried under 6 layers of plastic housing. A competent local tech can pop the case, see exactly what they're working with, and get you back to sewing the same day. That kind of transparent design is a big part of why Juki repair bills tend to stay low even years down the line. Brand 4. Baby Lock. Brand number 4 is one people underestimate because they don't realize what's actually inside the box. Baby Lock. Here's an open secret in the sewing world. A large share of Baby Lock's sewing and embroidery machines are manufactured by Brother, built to Baby Lock's own specifications on Brother's production lines, while Baby Lock sergers come out of a dedicated factory in Yamagata, Japan run by Suzuki Machinery. So you're getting Brother-level engineering discipline, or genuine Japanese serger craftsmanship, wrapped in a warranty package that goes well beyond what Singer offers. And that warranty is really the story here when it comes to repair costs. Registered Baby Lock machines commonly carry coverage up to 25 years on the metal chassis and around 10 years on electronic components, with a full year of labor included. That means the repairs that would normally hit your wallet on a Singer, motor issues, circuit board problems, frame damage, are frequently covered outright for the first decade of ownership. Yes, Baby Lock machines usually cost more upfront than the equivalent Brother, sometimes 20 to 30% more for what's functionally a very similar internal mechanism. But over a 5 or 10-year ownership window, when you add up what a Singer owner is paying out of pocket in gear replacements and service visits that Baby Lock owners simply aren't paying because it's covered, the math tips in Baby Lock's favor. Add in their network of over 600 authorized dealers across the country who actually know these machines inside and out, and you've got a brand where the cheaper to fix argument is really a you're barely paying to fix it at all argument. Brand 5. Elna. Last one, and this is the pick for sewers who want simplicity that lasts. Elna. Elna started in Switzerland back in 1940 and built its name on lightweight, mechanically clever machines, the kind repair techs describe as a joy to work on because the internal layout is clean and logical. Elna has been owned by Janome for years now, which means modern Elna machines benefit from the same Metal Gear philosophy and quality control standards that make Janome such a durable pick, while still keeping Elna's own simpler, more compact mechanical designs. Entry Elna machines typically run in the $200 to $350 range, competitive with mid-tier Singer models, but with noticeably fewer plastic stress points in the drivetrain. Because Elna shares parts sourcing and technician training with a larger Janome network, you're not stuck with an orphan brand that no local shop wants to touch, a real risk with some boutique names. Instead, you get access to the same reliable parts pipeline as one of the most repair-friendly major manufacturers in the industry, just wrapped in Elna's own compact, beginner-friendly designs. For a sewer who wants a machine that won't overwhelm them with features, won't nickel and dime them with plastic part replacements every couple of years, and will still be running when their kids are grown, Elna quietly does what Singer's budget lineup only promises to do. Quick recap. Let's run it back one more time before we wrap up. Brother gets you Singer-level pricing with meaningfully better parts and a bigger dealer network. Janome trades a slightly higher price tag for machines that can genuinely last 20 years with minimal repairs. Juki brings industrial-grade durability home, with direct-drive motors that just don't break down the way belt systems do. Baby Lockback's brother-built or Japanese factory engineering with warranty coverage that makes most repairs a non-issue for a decade. And Elna gives you Janome's repair-friendly metal internals in a simpler, more compact package. None of these are gimmicks, and none of them are going to cost you a fortune more than a comparable Singer at checkout. What they're going to save you is the aggravation of a machine that jams up on a Tuesday night 3 years in, and a repair bill that costs more than you expected because the part your tech needs isn't sitting on a shelf anywhere in the country. Look, I'm not telling you to throw your Singer in the trash if it's working for you right now. Plenty of Singer machines, especially the older mechanical ones and the heavy-duty line, are still solid. But if you're standing in a store right now trying to decide what to buy next, or you're tired of your current machine nickel-and-diming you every time you sit down to sew, these 5 brands are where I'd point you first. If this video saved you from buying the wrong machine, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more sewers who need to hear this before they spend their money. Subscribe if you want more honest brand breakdowns like this one, because I've got a lot more of these coming. And drop a comment down below telling me which brand you're currently sewing on. I read every single one, and I might just cover your machine in a future video. Thanks for sewing along with me today. I'll see you in the next one.